2 weeks ago, a thrilling event occurred in the protagonist's life, involving his stepson entering his room. The protagonist, who had become accustomed to the quiet and comforting solitude of his wife Alice, was left feeling unsure of what to think. He reached for a shirt and heard his stepson, Logan, standing in the doorway. Logan's expression was surprised, and he remained in a state of hesitancy and uncertainty. The protagonist urged Logan to leave, but Logan refused, leaving the protagonist frozen. The tense moment left a tingling sensation on the protagonist's skin, which was more harmful than humiliation. The protagonist spent the rest of the evening in a state of awe, unable to leave the tense moment in their bedroom. The protagonist wakes up to the scent of freshly brewed coffee and finds Logan at the counter, unable to sleep. He asks her about a prior meeting, but she doesn't respond. She feels a heavy tension between them, and they try to establish a separation. Logan's dark, impenetrable eyes constantly observe her, leaving her short of breath. One evening, Logan enters her bedroom with a towel, and the heat causes the vapor to stick to her skin. The two of them share an unsaid challenge, and the air between them becomes unbelievably dense. Logan pauses, twitching his fingers at his sides, as though he was expecting her to snap. She lets the tension build until he finally lets out a shaky breath and grabs the doorknob. He whispers, "I should go," but she begs him to stay. Logan leaves the room, leaving her feeling alone and burdened by what had nearly transpired. Her breath comes in short, irregular gasps, and the towel around her feels too warm. She realizes that something within her is roused, and she is certain it isn't over. However, she never thought this strange event would still happen. So she slumps upon the towel's edge. As the home becomes quiet, something has changed, and the walls seem to be closing in. The tension is unresolved, and she hastily puts on her clothes to shake off the tension. She goes downstairs, where the kitchen is dark, and she takes slow, deliberate swallows to relieve the residual heat beneath her skin. In the end, the protagonist's feelings for Logan and their relationship are heightened by their shared experiences and the tension between them. Logan arrived at the kitchen door, shirtless and disheveled. He shook his head and put his drink down, believing that Logan was leaning. The kitchen felt thickened and stretched taut with something neither of them could admit. The speaker remained motionless and watched Logan take a hand, causing a sudden tension between them. Logan approached, his warmth leaking into the room and his presence overwhelming. His fingers lingered, and the speaker felt something inside of them changed. He whispered, "What is this?" And the speaker struggled to find balance and slow the whirlwind. Logan then approached, his fingers delicately grazing his arm, causing a gradual fire under his. The speaker tried to push Logan away or draw him closer, but his words never came. Logan leaned lightly on her, his hands shaking at his sides as though he were trying to keep himself back. The speaker tried to talk, but her voice revealed that she was breaking beneath the pressure of Logan's swallowing. She brought them closer, and their lips tentatively touched, testing the brittle line between them. Logan's fingers moved to her waist and intensified the kiss, and the speaker realized that this was about Logan's unavoidable need, not merely loneliness or transient temptation. Logan pulled back first, but their breaths were still only a few inches apart. His eyes were veiled by something unreadable, dark, and desire, merging in the warm space between them. The speaker nodded when Logan said, "Go," but it seemed more like a question than a declaration. He waited a minute longer before turning and leaving, even though the speaker was unaware of her clenching hands tightly. The narrator is shaken by the tension and uncertainty surrounding their relationship with Logan. They are unsure if they want to stop or if they need to gain control and remind themselves of their limits and obligations. Their dreams are filled with vague visions of Logan's eyes, and they try to ignore it. The next morning, they wake up feeling the sounds of birds outside and the light coming in through their window. Logan is waiting for them to clear their heads, and they discuss the tension from the previous evening. They both feel exhausted and unable to recognize what had transpired between them. As Alice arrives home, Logan covers up the situation by lifting his coffee to his lips, and the narrator follows suit. The irony of the situation is evident when Alice appears out of nowhere. She takes a seat at the table, and Logan gives the narrator a look that is impossible to understand. The rest of the morning is excruciating, and the narrator has to make minor conversations. With Alice claiming to be interested in her job updates, Logan hardly speaks since he is consumed by the oppressive tension of the previous day. He leaves after completing his coffee, muttering something about wanting to go out for a while. For the remainder of the day, the narrator attempts to ignore the knot growing in their stomach and carry on with their daily activities as if nothing had happened. However, a voice in the background murmurs that it is already too late and the night is long. The protagonist feels restless and unsure of her identity, but eventually wakes up to a faint sound outside her bedroom door. She enters the room, and Logan appears in a dim corridor, wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. They are silent for a while, but Logan's voice lingers, daring her to stop the situation. She keeps her mouth shut, and Logan whispers, "I'll go." She takes a small step back, and Logan enters the room, pushing the door behind him. The silence between them is deafening, and Logan's voice fills the room with unsaid words, confirming they have crossed the boundary. The protagonist feels a chill go up her spine as Logan touches her arm, and she takes a deep breath. His eyes and ears pounded, and he leaned cautiously, searching for reluctance or regret. Her willpower slipped as she drifted in his warm breath against her skin. They slowly and hesitantly kiss, seemingly testing the delicate barrier they had just crossed. The narrator is in a passionate, intimate relationship with Logan, who is unable to identify him. They share a deep kiss, feeling a sense of hesitancy and desire. Logan's hands move, and the narrator rubs against him, feeling a sense of hesitancy and desire. The kiss intensifies, and Logan's fingers trace fire along the narrator's skin. The narrator feels light and detached from everything else, including her past and decisions. Logan caresses her in a way that is uncomfortable, and she moans softly against his mouth while her own hands dug into his shirt. The narrator eventually finds herself entangled in Logan's arms, and they muttered, "This is wrong," betraying him. The fire between them is all that matters when the inevitable fallout stops. The narrator is aware of the insane and wrong situation, but wonders if Alice will ever consider it or find out. When they both complete the kiss, Logan interrupts the quiet, asking if the narrator is okay. The narrator is breathing heavily, feeling the intense love and connection between them. The narrator is feeling disappointed and hurt after a night of sexual assault. They gather Logan's belongings and decide to leave, but Logan insists on staying. The narrator is trapped in the heat and struggles to breathe. As they return to reality, Logan's footsteps retreat down the hallway, leaving the room silent. The air feels thicker, and the sheets underneath her are still warm from the past. The morning arrives, and the narrator struggles to get out of bed. They go through their routine, but the silence between them is heavy. Logan speaks carefully, and the narrator laments the silence. He whispers, "We should talk." The narrator is unsure about how to deal with this, but Logan scowls and asks if it was an error. Alice Logan, the narrator's wife, arrives late and tries to comfort her. She explains that she had a long night at work and that she had not slept much. Logan leaves without saying anything else, and the narrator follows him. Alice suggests going out for dinner, but the narrator is caught off guard and unable to escape the guilt. The narrator is left feeling uneasy and uncertain about how to feel about the situation. They are telling this tale to others to help them understand their feelings and find a way to cope with their guilt.